KNUS Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, July 24th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. As you can imagine, in true to form, the text messages are right down the middle on this one.
Yeah, they are. It's funny.
With some going, Jeff, Billy just kicked your butt so bad. Billy's stopping you. And then others going, typical Donald Trump derangement syndrome, Bill.
I know. It's so great. Love y'all. This is fantastic.
This is why this show is totally different. You go to CPR and they don't even take calls or text over there. Other radio stations.
Other radio stations don't do it at all either. I'm hearing more and more radio stations getting away from doing the phone calls and the interactions, the stuff that we do. Yeah, monologues are boring. I mean, you and I got a text message off the air during the last one, and they were like, nice break. They're like, is it like a boxing match where you all go to your corners and you got to get the cut man like works on you? It is, my friend. It is, my friend.
We went in and got some coffee.
It is, yeah. And here's the funny thing is we walk down the hall together, and even then we're still kind of needle each other a little bit. But that's the thing is this is intellectual pugilism at its finest, where we get to disagree on things intellectually, but personally we're still friends. And at the end of the day, we're going to walk out of the ring together and high five, and it's going to be fine. We disagree on things, but that's what makes this show different and better than anything else you got an option to listen to.
And I've learned over the course of 4 hours, we'll have fun hours and then feisty hours and then back to fun hours. And
absolutely. This is going to be one of the fun hours. This is going to be great.
This is a good palate cleanse.
I know. And okay, on a side note, the number of radio people that I've had tune in to listen, and they are shocked that we can do this. They're like, you guys are like yelling at each other, and like 2 minutes later, you're like, hi, da 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 da. I'm like, how? I'm like, that's the beauty of the show.
Schizophrenia.
Yes.
That's exactly how it works.
Yes. And Cato's Coffee.
That's right.
Yes.
This hour brought to you by Cato's Coffee, our friends over at Cato's Coffee, KATOSKOFFEE.com. KATOSKOFFEE.com. Fantastic brews. Listen to this. They've got cold brew coffee, breakfast blends, Italian roast, a caramel, Asian plateau blend. So far, Billy and I loving
that cowboy blend is good.
Bali Blue
Bali Blue is good. The Peru one is really good.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got some really solid stuff.
Go to catoscoffee.com, KATOSKOFFEE.com. Use Jeff and Bill 10, no spaces. You'll get a 10% discount. Jeff and Bill 10, no spaces, for a 10% discount at Cato's Coffee. All right, he's live in studio. We're going to get to him just next. Potentially the next governor of Colorado. Mark Basley is going to join us, current state senator.
Is he going to talk to us about building a bridge? I'm not sure I'm up for that. Just saying.
And has there been anything that has gone down 94% ever in this state?
Woohoo! We helped. Yeah.
We did. We totally rigged the election.
Yes, we did.
Speaking
of rigged elections, yes. And I participated.
People voting from Scotland.
Yes.
Mark doesn't know. He probably doesn't know this, but when Jared Polis went out there, and I'll even turn on your mic here. When Jared Polis went out there and created this little online vote for the bridge to nowhere, because Colorado is the, quote, gold standard, and because, they've got Jenna Griswold running everything over there, we thought, well, let's just show the gold standard. And Bill voted 30 times.
Yeah, 32.
We had people from Scotland voting. We're like,
Once it took us about 5 minutes to figure out that they weren't blocking the IP after you voted once. We were like, all righty, game on. Let's do this.
Gold standard validated. That's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
I love you guys.
Validated. That's exactly right. All right, Mark Basley is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about what his administration is going to look like if elected governor of Colorado. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good Thursday morning, 61 and cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 86 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777 1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
Collusion. Prove collusion.
Was there collusion?
Absolutely.
Trump, Russia, possible collusion.
Trump, Russia, possible collusion.
Trump, Russia, possible collusion.
National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard and Caroline Leavitt teamed up on Barry and the Lefty Media Wednesday. Is the former president guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I'm not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
Caroline Leavitt.
Not enough people in this room, not enough journalists in this country pushed Adam Schiff to say, what are you talking about? What evidence do you have? Everybody just ran with the lies, and it led to impeachments. It led to the division of our country. Unfortunately, so many Americans, from listening to outlets in this room, believed in these lies. And it's a complete scam, and it's a scandal, and the president wants to see accountability for that. Phil.
And one of the crooks, James Clapper, central casting bad guy in government, shady government. He shows up on CNN last night. He's been pushing the lie since 2016. And then you have a former comedian, allegedly, Stephen Colbert, going scorched earth on Paramount and CBS, his employer, because they're paying settlements to DJT.
Last year, Paramount laid off 2,000 employees, then cut another several hundred just last month, firing that many people and then handing over $36 million to a guy who's putting your neighbors in alligator camps, all because of a lawsuit that your own lawyers said was completely without merit. If that's true, it would make CBS look morally bankrupt. Also bankrupt.
Wow, the laugh track working. The left had 4 years to do this, but now a House Oversight Subcommittee is voting to subpoena the DOJ for Epstein-related files. Chris Cuomo.
They had this information for a long time. I do not want to hear Bernie Sanders or AOC or Schumer or Jeffries or anybody on the left talking about Epstein, because they're only doing it for one reason. And it's not because of this righteousness of accountability for people who victimize kids. I give the MAGA folks who want disclosure that high ground.
Correct.
Okay? They had this information for a long time. I do not want to hear Bernie Sanders.
He's right. 47 visits the Fed today, hopefully persuading too late Chair Jerome Powell, J. Rome, over interest rates. First time in 20 years that a president has dropped by the Fed. The number of
Okay.
Another day of monsoonal moisture for Colorado in the Front Range. Temperatures will be cooler with showers and thunderstorms likely today, some producing heavy rainfall. Highs will be 80s, lows tonight near 60. Upper 80s Friday, partly cloudy, widely scattered late-day thunderstorms. Only isolated thunderstorms warmer, 90s for the weekend. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Clearly, we're dealing with Russian hacking attempts here today, Bill.
Obviously, they hacked Blake. They're trying to disrupt the show. Okay, big question, though. Who are they preferring? Who's the preference here on the show? Are they doing this to help you or me? I mean, who is it here?
Considering neither of us are willing to move to Russia in order to flee wokeness and then get picked up into, conscripted into the Russian military and sent to the Ukrainian border.
Exactly. and neither one of us are trying to build the Jeff and Bill Tower in Moscow, nor are we trying to sell uranium ore to them, and nor are we trying to have emails hacked or just trying
Bill,
to have
there's
a
so
server,
much opportunity for wealth development that we're missing out on.
Yes, we are.
But
oh well.
Still, we talk about the Russians and Mobile.
I know. Look what happens. We talk about the Russians and they hack Blake's newscast.
This does happen in Europe, though, where they actually track what you're saying in live and then throttle you down on the internet if they don't like what you're saying.
Yeah, and they'll do that. Yeah, based on keywords. Goodness. And again, that's why there's sometimes here in the U.S. on some of those social media sites that do run internationally, you have to change how you reference things, because if you type or say it, then the algorithm will flag you, and it doesn't matter. We've had the issue here on the show where we have said certain things and we were like, no, we were saying that is wrong and not true, but the algorithm says you were talking about it, and then crushes us. Yeah,
we're talking about marijuana sales apparently. All right, well, he's live in studio, and I've known Mark Baisley since you first ran. Even prior to that, you were involved in Douglas County Republican politics, and then ran for state house, and now state senator, doing a fantastic job. Excited to see you in the race for governor and seeking the Republican nominee. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Bill. Good to be with both you guys. How do we get the Russians to get involved in our race? Because I think we could use the boost, And out of the 427 people running for governor in Colorado right now, how would they pick?
What would their preference be? Who's the Russian preference?
Okay, but my first contribution today is going to be reading the definition of pugilism, because that's a new vocabulary word for me that I just learned from Bill just like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
Pugilism. I got to look that up. It's boxing.
Yes, okay?
Everybody else, it's boxing.
Is exactly right.
All right.
And Billy and I like to do it intellectually.
Yes, we do.
At this point, you can never say it might go on to.
Here's the thing. No, it can't. Here's the reason. Okay, Mark Baisley, candidate for governor here. It's never going to go that far. You know why?
Why?
Jeff and I are old. That's the thing is, I mean, if you have us fight in the parking lot,
no man, old man strength.
It's awful.
Don't you love those videos when the young little punk is like, I'm going to take on this old man. And the old man just drops him with it.
Oh, I know.
There's something to old man strength.
But the thing is, you and I probably, you've got more endurance than I have. I might have 30 seconds. And it's like, okay. Or we'd be in the middle of doing something like, my hamstring. My hamstring. Yeah, it would be so embarrassing to see Jeff and I fight. It'd be so embarrassing. It would ruin us.
So Mark Baisley, run for governor. What I always like to ask people, because you're out talking to folks, right? You're meeting with people. You're hearing the top issues. Right. You're hearing about what's happening in the state. What are people telling you?
The biggest thing I hear is just leave us the bejeebers alone. My district is mostly rural. I got 8 counties. It goes from Ken Carroll Valley down to West Cliff, and I go from Franktown and Douglas County all the way west to Lake County to Leadville. So I get the Arkansas River Valley and so on, and what people out in rural, everything except for the Front Range, they're just living their wonderful Colorado lives, and they don't appreciate what has become of Colorado government, state government, which is managing their lives. So the difference between what's happening now is that Colorado state government manages the people, is that I intend to manage the government. And it's in its limited role. It should have a limited role, and it should stop reaching into parental authorities and so on, and getting into their children's sexuality. What in the world? This is where we've gone off the rails. So that's what they want. Leave us alone. Let me live my life and make a good living and provide those things that you limitedly should provide, and do that well.
I mean, it is so bizarre how agenda-driven it has become towards these kids.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like you have sat through a lot of these meetings and hearings, and so have I. Laws that are now facing challenges at the U.S. Supreme Court. The counseling one on conversion therapy banning, for instance. I remember sitting there, and it was the LGBTQ agenda that was kind of pushing this, and I was listening to folks tell these horror stories about conversion therapy, of being forced to watched gay pornography while being electrocuted or sat in an ice bath in order to try to make them less gay. And I turned to One Colorado and I said, I run the Centennial, I run Colorado Christian University's thinking. You want to ban that? I'm with you 100%. That's terrible stuff. But then what you actually got in the law, and this is why it's now being challenged before the U.S. Supreme Court, is if you take a kid that's just questioning transgenderism, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm a boy, maybe I'm a girl, I'm 12 years old, I'm trying to figure it out. The counselor in the state of Colorado is mandated by law to begin transgender procedures. Wow. Right? They can't just go, well, hey, little Johnny, let's go figure this out, right? Like, what makes you think you're a boy or a girl? You can't even ask those questions. It's one way and one way only. That's on the counseling side. And then I remember we were debating with Daphne Michelson-Jeannet one time, who's, I think, a state senator now,
she
right?
Is, yes.
And she wanted to run this law that said, we want counselors to be able to talk to kids in schools without parental notification. And it was under the guise of a kid walks in suicidal, the counselor has to say, hold on, kid, let me call your parents before I can talk to you. And we said to Daphne Michelson-Jeannet, okay, I understand the concern here, right? You got a kid that's suicidal. You got to pause the conversation to go talk to the parents. Seems a little weird. But why are you running a law that says they can have unlimited meetings all the time between the kid and the counselor without parental notification?
Indeed.
Right? And they did that.
Yes.
And then now you have House Bill 1312 that passed this year, which was this bizarre effort to now mandate businesses and schools utilize chosen pronouns or they can get in trouble. And that even got into custody battles. Now the state's going to favor the parent that wants to trans their kids over. It's just so agenda driven. Yeah. Do you get the sense that people are picking up on this?
Oh, my. Yeah. I mean, that's when the folks show up in mass to protest or to give witness testimony and so on in the hearings. So yeah, in a big way. And what it has become, and I said this from the well, the podium down there on the floor of the Senate, and also the House, we call that the well, is there also, that the Democrats, the left, has turned the state into their church. So this is a belief system, right, that they're bringing, and they're in rebellion against natural law. So they bring it, and so they've just taken over belief systems and imposing that belief. So this is what Thomas Jefferson warned us about in his letter to the Danbury Baptists. Separate the church and the state. The state has its role and the church has its role. Don't mix those two up. Don't give a church the force of law, and don't give the law, the authority over religion. And anyway, but that's what has happened here. So people have their religious views on sexuality, biblical views, and that I hold, and then the state is coming in with a superior religion to override that. So this is where we've really not just gone off the rails, but they have just absconded with the authority parentally and just over the family and culturally. And it's just a really terrible direction to go. Boy, you remind me, Jeff, talking of the counseling. So mental health issues, we all concern ourselves with mental health issues, and we ought to address them. I got a call yesterday. It was a planned Zoom meeting with, and I don't want to name the county, but it was one of the large counties on the Front Range here, to introduce me, and with lobbyists in tow there, introducing me to the new director of the mental health agency of the county. And they wanted to talk to me because with the cutbacks in Medicaid, then they have had their funding cut back a little bit. And so they're asking for some support, trying to patch that up. I'm hearing that from schools and everything else, of course. And I was thinking, well, gee, I wonder how many people they've had to lay off and out of their team of, I don't know, how many people would you imagine work at a place like that? And then she said, well, we had to lay off 24 people. And I said, what? I would have imagined that 24 people would be like your entire staff. And she goes, no, it's 800. 800 people in a single county working a mental health agency. And I did the quick calculation. That's one of their employees for every 35 residents in that county. Wow is right. the imposition of a government counseling service, influence over the people, this is pretty massive. You know, the government has just grown so big, and in this area that you and I are talking about, but on a broader scale, of counseling the people that the people have to pay for, of course, but 1 for 35. And how many patients would each of those 35 take on? I don't know, but
right.
It seems like
even if it was everybody, if everybody was talking to the government, it would just be 35 people that one person would have to work.
Yeah,
with.
they would have to spend like 1 hour a week. Yeah, 1 hour. Yeah, exactly. 1 hour a week with each individual. It's just like I walked away from that going, well, they're asking for some support financially. I'm thinking, we need to cut you back a whole lot more than that.
Right. That's Mark Baisley. Mark's running for governor. You can follow him on X at Mark Baisley. Mark, Baisley. It's the same website, markbaisley.com. Mark, you've been down at the State House. You've been down at the State Senate. You've watched government grow. I mean, grow. The amount of spending that's grown. Yeah. Every year they pass 500 bills. I can't tell you what any of them really do except for restrict our rights. I mean, this is not at all the Colorado we all grew up in.
Right.
It is a totally different place. But the voters of Colorado continue to go, well, these are the people we want in this office, right?
Yeah.
We want to continue to grow government. We see government as a solution to our problems. So give me an overview. What's happening in the state of Colorado right now?
Yeah, we've had single party rule for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So if it was just 20 years ago, not even that, it was less than that, 15 years ago, somewhere there, all of the big offices were held by Republicans. So I'm blaming Amendment 64 that said, hey, we want to be the first state out to legalize recreational marijuana. And in fact, I just came back from a national conference where that's the agreement. All the other states that are starting to open up their states, the legislatures, it was a conference of state legislators, ALEC, and they're saying, yeah, we're glad you guys went first instead of us because you got flooded with everybody that wanted to come smoke weed, you know, and I mean, like 1 million people moved into the state to come smoke weed, and they're all voting left. So that's I think was what the beginning of the downfall, the takeover, the going from a light purple to a strong
But do you
blue.
think the voters see the problems and go, we need to change? Because it seems to me like they doubled down. If we just got rid of Tabor, if we just had fewer Republicans, if it was just the Democrats with just a little bit more power, or if we had a more progressive governor, Jared Polis was too independent, especially on school choice. If we just had more progressives in power, then we would actually make things better. I mean, why do they keep voting for these people?
What a good question. And of course, our pretty crazy election system includes all the unaffiliated can vote either way in the primaries, and so it gets pretty muddled. I am hoping against hope that the unaffiliateds finally are going, oh my, it is time to get away from single party rule, because look at how much they are managing my behavior instead of managing the government. So they held tight 2 cycles ago, but the last cycle gave us a glimmer of hope, right? We finally got out of the super minority position in the state house and flipped congressional district 8. You know, so now we have, if you look at it from 30,000 feet, we've got 4 Republican congressmen and 4 Democrat. You know, so it's even Stevens. So right now, that gives me some hope. And we're down 12 seats we're down 6 seats in the state Senate, and we're down 11 in the state house. That's quite a climb to get back to have the majority in either one of those to try to stop the crazy bills from coming through, or we win the governor's office, and that's part of the
direct stop.
calculation
Now,
for me.
Mark Baisley live in studio with us. In the last cycle, Republican lost nearly 20 points to Jared Polis. How do you make it different this time around?
Yeah, well, we go around and shake a whole lot of hands and kiss a lot of babies, I suppose, too. But we will have the advantage of not having a billionaire or at least a mini millionaire running for governor this time, because Jared Polis, he's a
Putting in a lot of his own money.
30 some odd million of his own money that he put in. Plus, he is a very, very crafty politician. So bringing in either Michael Bennet or Phil Weiser, Attorney General or U.S. Senator, coming in with a new choice, and I hope the people select me. I hope the Republicans and the unaffiliateds in the primary will give me that task. And we will appeal, of course, in a big way to the unaffiliated because they will swing the vote. That's the largest block of voters, of course. And we got to appeal to reason, and that we have gone so far to the left with all the crazy, with the single party rule, that we have to have a conscience. Here's something that I realized while I was in my first year in the House, which is 2019, and I'm looking at all these bills getting passed into law. I'm thinking, how does such radical stuff get passed into law when I've gotten to know most of these Democrat colleagues of mine on the other side of the aisle? They're not that nuts. And I'm thinking, well, I guess about 5% of them at that time, more now, but about 5% of them I calculated back then were really radicals. Yeah. But the thing about that, the left, is they're collectivist thinkers. So when one of them puts in a radical bill, they all vote for it, even though some of them, the good friends, will lean over to me and say, I hate this bill. I'll say, so you're going to vote against it with us, huh? He goes, no, I have to vote with it. So they walk lockstep, and then the governor signs it into law. So we have to break that. That doesn't happen on the right, because when the right, we're more independent thinkers. We vote against each other's stuff all the time.
We fight in the public.
Yeah, we're what do you call pugilism?
We were down fighting a bill with the Centennial Institute at one point, and I asked Hugh McKean, former House Minority Leader.
Yeah.
I go, we need to get some amendments into this bill. Who should we work with, and who do you work with? And he goes, well, I just call the ACLU directly.
Oh.
He goes, the Democrats don't even know what are in these bills. They don't even write these bills. They're written by these progressive special interest groups, oftentimes funded out of New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, that drive their agenda. Colorado's just this little state that they can push their agenda, and we become this kind of test case to see how far they can push an agenda, especially against the Trump administration. But yeah, Hugh McKean told me Democrats don't even know what are in these bills. And so the system set up, ACLU, Planned Parenthood, those, put in the campaign money, get these guys elected, write the bills. Here you go. Here's what you're going to do for us. And then if you want to negotiate an amendment, you call the ACLU. You don't even call the Democrats. I've learned they're just bag people. They deliver for whatever these special interest leftist groups are doing. I don't know how you beat that. Let's talk money. Phil Weiser and Michael Bennet pulling in millions. We're down in the tens of thousands. Republicans are. How do you combat that?
Good question. We're all talking about that and saying, how do we compete? So, when you're dialing for dollars for hours and hours and hours and holding fundraising events and so on, yeah, you're going to pull in tens of thousands of dollars. You have to engage an independent expenditure committee to come alongside you, which has happened for me, which I appreciate. Business community is put together an IEC, and so they have unlimited fund caps. For the direct campaigns, we can only collect $1,450 per person. So that's the most any individual can contribut, or an LLC. So you have to, so let's say I get 1,000 people to max out to me, then I'm only at $1.5 million out of a probably $15 million cost race. So you need the IECs to come in, and they can take money from any American company, any American deep pocket person. So, one of us is going to need to emerge as the leader, and then folks, the bigger money, I think will step up through the IEC that supports me, hopefully. But they'll have to match it pretty big to get us go toe to toe with the Democrats. And with Democrats, it's the machine, just like you talked about, not only in passing bills but in raising money. So Phil Weiser, Michael Bennet, they're in the millions, and I guarantee you they did not do that by sitting in the basement for 50 hours a week and calling individuals.
Well, I think some of these special interest groups look at Colorado and go, it's deep blue, across the board. We can get a lot of our agenda. This is a safe bet. Let's put the money in. My question to you, who would you like to face, Michael Bennet or Phil Weiser?
You know what? In my heart of hearts, I think Jenna Griswold. But what I really want, Phil Weiser would be fun because he's just got so much material to throw at him, and how he's done things that people should be railing against here in Colorado.
Prosecuting a deputy for calling ICE.
Goodness, yes. It's amazing to me how all we'd have to do is tell the folk, hey, look what he has been doing. Doesn't that anger you? It angers me. Yeah. Michael Bennett he's just the milquetoast candidate that you think would be someone you could not only kind of outgun, but also he's got a record. He's got a voting record back in D.C., and he's voted against the interest of Coloradans quite a bit over the years. So I guess I'm just going to be happy with whoever they choose because I feel good about.
But there seems to be a model, and I pointed this out. It's pale, stale, and male. So for look, Republicans don't talk about skin color in the sense of that's so important in determining who should be elected. But Democrats do all the time, right?
Yeah,
we got to skin color really matters, and then all of a sudden, who do they elect to statewide office? Pale, stale, and male. Almost regularly. Yeah. So I'm going to ask Mark Baisley next when we come back. He's in a contested primary against some great people, Scott Bottoms being one of them, Greg Lopez being another. Why is he better than those other folks to be the Republican nominee and to be governor of the state of Colorado? You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Live in studio with us, Mark Baisley, current state senator, now running for governor. If you go to markbaisley.com, you can learn more about him. Baisley spelled BAISLEY.com, Mark Baisley. Mark, you're in a contested primary. Some great folks in this primary. Regulars on this show, Greg Lopez, Scott Bottoms. Scott's going to be on tomorrow. Greg was on earlier this week. Why are you better than them?
Better. Not a better soul. These are good guys and good friends. But this is an enormous job. This is a $44 billion budget position. So this is big. This is Fortune 500 territory. So I come from a business background. I'm right now I'm leading my second company. So I started my first company in '93. It was only about 3 miles from here in the Denver Tech Center, and built that up and sold it to Cyber Corporation. I'm on my second company now. So I come out of Fortune 500 companies. So I worked for Martin Marietta. That's why I live here in Colorado. They moved me here 36 years ago, and now Lockheed Martin, of course. And I worked for Raytheon, worked for Fluor Daniel, international companies, and in leadership. And so managing this enormous effort is what qualifies me. And in fact, I'm already trying to do the job, frankly, which was what got me to the point of saying, yes, maybe I should be running for governor, because we're doing a lot of good in the minority position. We're doing a lot of good trying to slow down, sometimes kill, and sometimes modify the bad bills like 1312 you mentioned earlier. We took out the worst parts of 1312 through hard debate and all, but and persuasion. But in the end, we're just slowing down the monster that's eaten us. We have to bring it to a stop. So as I'm stepping up to this, I'm trying to do 4 things that are positive, that are constructive efforts, rather than just stop the crazy, because that's what everybody's going to do. Every candidate's going to step in and veto bills. But I'm working on economic development. So, and I have been. I've worked with Governor Polis, where we align not only on school choice, but we align on economic development. So I've worked to get the CHIPS Act qualified for Colorado. So where we're moving semiconductor manufacturing out of China to Colorado. And then follow that, I was the Senate sponsor to go chase after the Tech Hub designation for quantum computing. And that was a big effort, a big bake-off between Colorado and other states that all wanted that. And we won it. We won it last year, like 18 months ago. And I worked back east in Washington with Hickenloopers and Senator Hickenloopers and Senator Bennett's team to help us to persuade the decision back there. And we won that. That brings $1 billion. We already have incubators going here. Companies are headquartering their quantum computing entities in Broomfield, mostly Broomfield and Boulder. And then lastly, I brought in as the state sponsor, brought in the Sundance Festival to Colorado. That's another $2 billion. That's like having the Super Bowl come to town 10 years in a row. So what I want to do is not create jobs. I want to create the environment where people can have good economic development and do that on their own, because the dignity of work, self-reliance, that's the sort of thing that governments ought to be building the infrastructure, but let the people go take care of themselves. If you're healthy financially, everything else seems to follow. You don't worry as much about things like affordable housing, because you can afford your housing and all. So that's the big thing. And so the difference is between that, education. Education is a big deal to me, and trying to make education relevant to taking those good jobs. I guarantee you that none of my competitors got a call from or a text from the University of Colorado's president's assistant yesterday asking for a meeting with me. And this is not the first time. We meet all the time. And she reached out and said, hey, Todd Solomon, President Solomon wants to get together with you again soon. We work on stuff together. My emphasis for him, for president of MSU Denver, for CSU Chancellor, UNC president, these people that I have gotten to know very well, very deliberately, and I'm trying to keep these institutions from not being the propaganda machines that happens everywhere in the state and in the country, that move them towards teaming with industry to have relevance in education so that we prepare our folks to take those good jobs so that they can be self-reliant. So these are things that I'm working now, the networks that I've developed, and that's not something that my colleagues have had the opportunity to do, but I am well down that path. And so even, I'll add this, through all of this work that I'm doing, the agencies, information technology, the Department of Health, CDPHE, folks within those departments have reached out to me and said, hey, I want to work with you once you become governor so that we can straighten out, we can clean up this town, we can cut back on all this waste. I know where things are working really well and where they're not. And so they're already volunteering that information out to me because I'm working with them on big projects, have been for years. So that networking, and the biggest one, which was a surprise to me, but a pleasant one, of the 3 people within Governor Polis's office, not all still working there, but of the 3 who have worked for him on his staff, who have approached me and offered to help me set up my office, my administration, one of them is one of his former chiefs of staff, good friend of mine, former Speaker of the House, Alec Garnett. He was Speaker while I was serving in the House. And we got along quite well there, and he made that offer. He says, hey, I worked as chief of staff. I know how this office works. I'd like to help you set up your administration. So that's the difference. I can hit the ground running 10 feet in when we start. So
that's Mark Baisley, candidate for Colorado governor, joining Jeff and Bill live in the studio. A moment ago, you talked about keeping education relevant. I want to explore with you, what does that mean? And the reason I ask is because over the course of my lifetime, I have seen our Colorado high schools have things like metal shop, auto shop, woodworking, home ec. I watched those disappear. Now I'm seeing those try to be re-implemented back into the high schools. During my lifetime, we were told those burnouts that were in the auto shop, those are the losers you don't want to be. They don't have a future. You've got to go to college. You've got to learn computers. You've got to learn tech. You've got to be a programmer. Now we're seeing a shift to trades. Trades are now a viable option. They're being supported. Rangeview High School used to have one of the best auto shops in the state. Their setup would rival what you find at a place like Big O. Doesn't exist anymore because it was transitioned out. Now they're trying to re-implement it. So when we talk about keeping education relevant, Mark Baisley, candidate for Colorado governor, what does that look like?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it looks like STEM school in Highlands Ranch. And I was the founding board president for that school. And we set up that charter like 13, 14 years ago. And the idea of that was to put on that board for that charter school a position from a seat from United Launch Alliance and a seat from Lockheed Martin, so that when the teachers are teaching something as boring as geography, for instance, they could teach that within the context of orbits, because a position in space relative to the positions on Earth means everything when it comes to. I mean, you don't just throw a satellite up in the sky and put it in orbit in any orbit. It's very specific orbits, and it is so that you can interact with what's on the ground. It's serving its mission for the ground. When they learn things like physics in the context of launches and orbits and propulsion and all that, then it gives meaning, and it helps the teachers also realize just how deeply important their positions are, their mission. So when you team up the education with the companies in the area, the indigenous companies, boy, you get some magic there. And they realize, hey, we don't have time to teach all the propaganda silliness, the leftist propaganda nonsense. No, we urgently need to prepare these students to take those good jobs. And the trades, it's not an either or. I love the idea of the trades coming back, Billy. You're so right. But we can have trades where folks can learn a skill in 2 years and they can be making a really good living while they're still earning their college, their 4-year degree.
That's the idea behind Pickens Tech in Aurora Public Schools. That's
Awesome.
why that Pickens Tech started. I mean, that's decades ago. That's in the 70s. And that's exactly what it was. It was a 2-year type of associates or trade school. That's exactly what they were doing.
That's Mark Baisley. He's live in studio. You can learn more from him at markbaisley.com. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, August 27th, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 1595 South Colorado Boulevard in Denver. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill Show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, August 27th at IHOP.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're live in studio with Mark Baisley. He's running for governor. Mark, the big four priorities for you: economic development, education, property taxes, and safety. You mentioned property taxes every time you talk about this big line of people that want to talk to you.
Truly, it hits us all, right? So unjustifiably, our property taxes just go shooting up. Now, I finally, the light bulb went on over my head while I was serving on the property tax task force assigned by the leadership. And I always go, hey, why do you assign me that? I'm an aerospace engineer. Why do you put me on property taxes? Because you fight Baisley. That's what Paul Lundin would tell me. So you fight Baisley. Get in there. So it just occurred to me while looking at trying to come up with a creative solution to this. We have primarily three variables in the formula that calculates our property taxes. It's the property tax rate. It's a percentage, 6 point something that set by the legislature. It is the mills. It's that percentage for all of the different special districts that we live in. So the library district and the hospital district and the fire district and so on. And then there's our property value. So if our property value goes shooting up 45%, which it did a couple of years ago, property values shot up 45%. That meant that our property taxes got shot up about that. So, but ask yourself this: did that mean that the library district need 45% more money because your property value went up that much? No, of course not. And if our property values were to crash and drop by 25%, would the fire district need 25% less money to fund their operation? Of course not. So there's not a good relationship of cause and effect there. So my solution, which I have introduced the bill, and of course the Democrats killed it, but I will keep introducing it, and that is to dissociate property values from the property tax formula and just baseline all the special districts' budgets. Here's what you've been living on. Now we'll allow it, like a la Tabor, to increase by population and inflation. And then everybody can count on it. And if they need a new fire truck, they go to the people like Tabor requires and says, hey, can you guys pony up another $1 million for a fire truck, whatever. But that's that solution. And then on safety, there are three components to my safety issue. And one is obviously law enforcement. We've got to allow what right now is illegal in the state of Colorado and other states, but it's illegal for our law enforcement to be allowed to work with Tom Homan and his gang coming to town, and we need to override that. Second,
which is wild to me, real quick, because you have people that are openly breaking the law. So you're watching them. You're going, that person is breaking the law, but I cannot call the people to enforce that law for no good reason.
That's right, for no good reason. So. Wildfires are a threat to us all the time. I have been right up front working diligently along with my colleagues to get a couple things: good aircraft in place. So we have purchased 2 Black Hawk, brand new firefighting helicopters, Black Hawks that are now called Firehawks. They're outfitted with a 1,000-gallon water tank on the belly.
Right. Firehawks. We saw a fire train the other day. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, the fire
that's
train,
cool.
That's new, huh? But that's necessary. Well, anyway, we have 2 now helicopters, Firehawks. They're outfitted right here at Centennial Airport, by the way, with those tanks. And we have like 4 or 5 aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft, too. So rapid fire. Plus, Lockheed Martin has developed, and I've been working with them directly, they have developed AI software to predict when fires are going to break out so that we can get that aircraft into that position before the lightning strikes that fuel on the ground and gets the fire started in the first place. Awesome stuff. And then lastly, under safety is emergency management system. So I ran a bill almost 5 years ago to address the kind of very sloppy and antiquated way that we fund our ambulances, our emergency response services. We get surprise billing all the time. I ran a bill this year that got rid of the surprise billing for ambulances, and Jared Polis vetoed it. It was it unanimously went through both chambers of the legislature, and then it got vetoed. I could not believe it. Anyway, so those are the 3 emergency management services. Let's fund them properly and predictably and well. Firefighting. And then let's overcome what we've all been dealing with across the country, and that's the result of Biden administration's busting open the border and letting anybody in.
That's Mark Baisley's storied career as a political leader, a state house, state senate. He's now running for governor. The sense I get from you, and I think our listeners as well, an engineering mind you're going to bring to this job. We're going to build the systems. We're going to get it across the finish line, and the state of Colorado is going to be better as a result of it. If you want to join Mark's campaign or get to know him more, go to markbaisley.com, MarkBaisley.com. You can join right there. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both, gentlemen. I'll let you get back to your pugilism, but that was an awesome time. I appreciate it. You guys rock.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Mark's going to jump right in and maybe become a professional wrestler right there with us, right? Well, I appreciate you coming by. Get a chance to know Mark Baisley. I've known him for years. Great guy. Would make a great governor as well. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.